We have a quorum, Mr. Wong Kwok Hing. 3 minutes. Thank you, Chairman. Dr. K.K. Kwok, an elected member from NT West, is actually moving a motion to adjourn the debate on this important item. He pays no heed to the livelihood of NT West residents and the aspirations of Chung residents. I'm of the view that it's very shameful for him to move this adjournment motion. I'm very disappointed. I hope Chung and NT West residents will see K.K. Kwok for who he is, that he is moving a very unreasonable motion to adjourn the debate and he pays no heed to people's livelihood. Dr. K.K. Kwok said, Mr. Chairman, that since you did not allow Mr. Wu Chi-wai to ask questions for 1 minute, I think this is totally fabricated. This has no ground. As I pointed out earlier on, you are doing a fine job chairing this meeting and you're managing the time well. This is only right. Since you're in the chairman's seat, we have 11 items. We will have limited time today, and you have already stated that if people want to ask questions, you will put them in the queue. If no other members would like to speak, you will draw a line there. I think this is nothing peculiar. This is what is done in all panels. All chairmen of panels do that. So this is very consistent in terms of chairman's management of meeting time. So I think what you are doing is legitimate and reasonable. Opposition CAM members, Democratic CAM members threaten you to say they will continue with their questioning, they will move motions to adjourn the debate and the meeting. This is a threat issued against you, Mr. Chairman. I think you stand on very firm ground today, and you stand up against threats, and you have been effective and doing a fine job. You are showing all Hong Kong residents how this meeting is conducted and who is threatening whom, who is working according to the procedures for Finance Committee. Opposition CAM members say members have the responsibility to ask questions. Yes, they can ask questions on different occasions. Also, at panels, at the PWSC, they already had the chance to ask questions. Did they do so? Are they repeating their questions? I think the public know that full well. Now we should put the item to the vote, and yet they move an adjournment motion. I think there is only shame and shame and shame. Next, Mr. Leung Yu Chung, 3 minutes. Chairman, I truly think that Dr. K.K. Kwok doesn't oppose to this funding proposal. We all know that this will have a good impact on the entire community, and there will be dire consequences if this project doesn't go ahead. We all understand that. The thing is, if we do not object, doesn't mean we should not discharge our responsibility to ask questions. Many members say you have other channels to ask questions and you should have done so at the PWSC. Well, yes, there are other channels and we can ask questions at different meetings. But if that's the case, then what is this FC for? Why don't we write in the procedures for FC that we will come here just to vote and not ask questions or discuss matters? Unless you do that, well, the procedures are not like that now. That is not what the procedures for FC say. And members can rightly ask questions. Let us be fair. When people ask questions, you say you should stop. I don't know whether you are putting the chairman in a difficult position, because there are two principles in the procedures. One, you should not be repetitive. Two, you should not digress. Well, repetition doesn't mean you have asked the question before on another occasion. The thing is you are repeating the question here at this meeting.
Now the chairman did not rule out those questions as being irrelevant or digressing, so we should be fair. As Dr. Fernando Chung said, these questions are meaningful. Now they have helped slash the cost from $1.9 to $1.3 billion. We are not voting machines. We have to monitor the administration so that they can make improvements. This way, we will not waste taxpayers' money. We have saved $600 million, which is a substantial fund, so our role is important. I understand that some people are desperate, but we should take things one at a time. With greater suppression, there would be greater opposition. The chairman should not use his power to stop members from speaking. Mr. Yip Kok Him. Mr. Leung Yiu-chung is an experienced legislator. I'm sure he's familiar with the running of the council as well as the running of the PWSC, FC, etc. I agree with Dr. Fernando Chung that the job of a legislator is to play gatekeeping for the public. We should vet the funding applications. It doesn't mean we have to approve them, no matter what. Dr. K. Kwok moved a motion to adjourn. The motivation was clear. At the PWSC, Dr. Kwok raised a lot of points or issues. They were similar as the arguments he put forward today. Is he really defending or safeguarding the use of public money as he suggested? And does Dr. K. Kwok think he's really fighting for the benefit of the people? We have spent 2 hours already. There have been numerous repetitions. I'm not really speaking to Dr. K. Kwok. I think he's hopeless based on his performance. If this continues at the Legislative Council, members are abusing the rules of procedure in a bid to filibuster. They are trying to stop the committee from reaching items which they do not wish to see or vote on. Now, if this is what the lawmakers would do, the Legislative Council would be hopeless. The public would exercise their votes. Mr. Ng Leung Sing, as a former Finance Committee Chairman, I agree that if we are really thinking about public welfare, the Finance Committee has a pivotal role to play in vetting the public or funding applications. If they are vetoed, then they might have to start all over again. But at the end, public welfare is the priority. Whether for public works or establishment items, they are based on actual needs. So the public should be clear about this. The job of the chairman is to maintain order at the Finance Committee and allow the scrutiny and voting on the agenda items. We talked about the Finance Committee, and there are 3 stages. One is discussion on a committee level, and 2, discussions on the item itself, on hydrogen sulfides or other chemicals, or the construction of pipes and so on. These would be discussed, and written questions can also follow. But do we really need to repeat those arguments at the Finance Committee? Some members asked about the cost. Some people think the project is too expensive. So you should, in that case, you should suggest to the department how cheaper alternatives are available. You should not just bargain for the sake of it, or else you are just trying to delay the proceedings and stand in the way of other items. So I agree that the FC chairman should play the role of gatekeeper and allow reasonable questions. For repetitive or frivolous questions, they should be minimized. Thank you. Mr. Loy Kwok. Chairman, I did not intend to speak because I realized there are a lot of items to be passed today. But from what I saw this morning, I'm both angry and worried. Now we are talking about the construction of an additional sewage rising main and rehabilitation of an existing one. We've been discussing it for at the PWSC for quite some time. The work is imminent. We only have a single pipe and it's aging. If we cannot repair this pipe, there would be accidents or problems. By then, the sewage treatment at the entire Tung would be affected, so it's a serious issue. Now, on one hand, we have to meet future sewage treatment needs, and second, we can allow the existing main to be repaired. So this is imminent. So I'm very frustrated that a member has moved a motion to adjourn. Now I'm strongly against the proposed motion to adjourn, and I adjourn this item and the remaining items to be voted on. Mr. Leung Kok Hong, 3 minutes. Filibustering is not the exclusive right of any specific legislator. So at that time you were waiting for Uncle Fat. You said you were waiting for him, but what's the relevance? It's only one person. Now the situation today is similar to the time when Tung Chee-hwa stepped down. No one listened to him anymore. His orders were not followed. So the problem or the reason was that people have lost trust. The Land House Development Scheme will last till 2030. Can you make a U-turn? I've seen that model. It costs more than $100,000 to produce, and Lantau Island will almost be unrecognizable. There would be it will be enclosed, and there would be residential developments, and there would be a community housing more than 100,000 people. As Dr. N. Cheng said, you can punish us with your votes. You can replace us all so that the council will be dominated by the pro-establishment camp. If you manage to do that, please do so. And this is, well, it's just like NPC SC meetings when members have no chance to speak. All they can do is clap. There's always unanimous support. Well, this is not the mainland. If you continue to force things through, there will be problems. And for the Link REITs, they have more than $200 billion in assets after divesting the properties. Why don't you stop them, Mr. Champan? Thank you. I want to condemn Dr. K. Kwok for moving the motion to adjourn. We can see that sewers in Tung have reached 70% in utilization, and with future population growth, with a single pipe, there might be issues, and the pipe has been in use for more than 20 years. There might be defects requiring maintenance. So what can the Tung residents do if there are issues? Does it mean they cannot go to the toilet? Now, if this item is abandoned, we wouldn't know what will happen in the next term. So are you going to filibuster just because you were stopped from asking questions? In the past, we could process 4 items in a meeting, but now it's taking a lot longer. Now you've been filibustering on political issues and welfare issues, so I'd like to condemn him. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, Dr. K. Kwok, you have 1 minute. Now, in terms of shamelessness, I think FTU is doing an outstanding job, and they left the meeting yesterday in the discussion of standard working hours, and Mr. Wong Kwok-hing of the FTU was the worst example. Now you are suggesting more developments in Lantau, which led to a traffic jam, and for the MTR's price hikes, you allow them to continue. The DAB and FTU are hypocritic, and this is not news anymore. The public is smart. But Chairman, you have no right to receive the Golden Bohemia Medal. Now time's up. Let's proceed to the voting. Does any member claim a division? The bell will be rung for 5 minutes. We received 5 motions from Dr. K. Kwok under Rule 37A. I rule all of them relevant. Two of them are borderline cases. So after Dr. Fernando Chung speaks, we will vote on the 5 motions under 37A. I'd like to remind members that we are voting on Dr. K.K. Kwok's motion under 37A to adjourn proceedings on the sewage rising mains at Tung. If his motions are passed, we would adjourn debates, and we have no idea to know when it will be discussed again, if that is the case, and we have no idea to know whether or by how much the construction costs will rise. Voting begins. Voting is closed. The results are displayed. Nine for, 32 against, 0 abstention. The item is negatived. Finally, Dr. Fernando Chung.
Chairman, I have several questions. I don't understand why you are limiting our time for asking. I would like to get more details. That is about $1.9 billion. Members, we have 537A, and we will handle this after Mr. Chang's questions. Now it's dropped from $1.9 billion to $1.36 billion. They just changed the materials. So how come there's such a significant drop? And I also want to ask about Silho Wan sewage treatment works. It has to be upgraded. It's totally related to the sewage mains. And in March last year, the CEDD submitted a paper to us on the development of this area, and they were talking about a 4-kilometer long sewage rain. ALUP was a consultant firm, and it's prepared a paper. So I would like to ask about the extra 2.4 kilometers. I think these are reasonable questions. I don't understand why the chairman forces me to ask my questions in one go. Can the government answer me in details? Number one, why a change of materials can save so much money? When you first went to the EA panel and the PWSC, your budget was different. Does it mean that you made mistakes at the first budget? And you also talked about upgrading the Silho Wan sewage treatment works. What's the scale? Is it absolutely necessary? And for the extra 2.4 kilometers, where does it come from? Assistant Director, I'll give you 4 minutes to answer all the questions. If you cannot answer all the questions, please give us the answers in writing. Mr. Kwok? We have changed the materials, and the price has dropped. This is only one of the reasons for the decrease in prices. In February, we already conducted the tendering exercise, and the tendering price was lower than expected, so that's why the whole cost has dropped. And now there are new prices, and for maintaining the existing sewage rising mains, there has also been a downward adjustment. So on the whole, the cost has been lowered. For the 21,000 man months, how can it drop to 14,000? Perhaps I can answer this question. This is just an estimation or a projection. Well, Mr. Kwok has given you the reasons for the saving of $600 million, and accordingly, these numbers have also dropped. But this may not be exactly the actual situation. There may still be adjustments in the future. How about the upgrading of Silho Wan sewage treatment works? And in 2015, CEDD gave us a paper. That's a difference in length. That is 2.4 kilometers. Dr. Fernando, I'll answer the question. Well, for Silho 1 sewage treatment works, now its treatment capacity is enough, even though we add another sewage rising main. And just now we talked about Tung East. Well, the study has just been finished. So for the exact scale, we still have to look into it. And the future at the reclamation area, we need to add another main to go to Silho 1. So this is an extra extension. In 2015, CEDD gave us a paper. So in its original plan, this part was not covered. As I said just now, for Chung extension, we have projected its population, in particular in Tung, because it would involve reclamation and the population size may change. So if we cannot handle it here, then we'll have to build an extra sewage main. And it will be shorter than the existing one because it will be closer to Silho 1 sewage treatment works. Now we will put Mr. Kwakaki's 37A motions to vote. Well, okay, please ask your question succinctly. Now, for the paper, is issued in March 2015. At that time, you already had a plan for reclamation in Chung, and it is said that the sewage mains would be 4 kilometers long. Now it's 2.4 kilometers. Now it's 6.4. Well, they are two different mains. One is vertical, the other is horizontal. These are two totally different projects, and things about that haven't been decided on yet. I'm not stopping you from asking. Very early on, I've made a decision. Well, because we have to handle many items, so I have drawn a line. No new members can ask questions. Otherwise, we won't be doing this. I hope Mr. Lang Guohong, you understand. So, okay, let's look at Mr. Kwakaki's motions. Yeah, let's handle this first. There are 5 37A motions that are moved by Dr. K.K. Kwok. He claims a division. Let's ring the bell for 5 minutes. Please read out your motions. In accordance with 37A of the FC rules, I move that before an additional sewage rising main is constructed before Silho 1 and Tung, the government must promise that the works will not affect the traffic on North Lantau Island.
我哋現在即將處理。
What we are going to vote on now is Dr. K.K. Kwok's motion, which is moved in accordance with 37A.
好啊，請大家投票。
Please vote. Voting stops. The result is displayed. The result is 34-22 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Another motion, please. In accordance with 37A of the Mr. Yip Kwok Him. How many motions are we handling? 5. Any other member would like to move any motion? No. Can we change the bell ringing time to 1 minute? According to Rule 47, Mr. Chen Hanpan proposes that the bell would ring for only 1 minute instead of 5 minutes. Any objection? If not, let's vote on this. Claim the division. Okay. Who's gonna speak? Please press your button if you want to speak. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Can I speak, Chairman? Yes. Please start. 1 minute is unreasonable. Why is that? Now, you see some people are leaving the conference room. Some people are going to the washroom. Well, I think the members are very hypocritical. I bumped into members in the corridor. They say that it's painstaking to attend meetings here. Yes, it's painstaking. So why don't you take a rest? Well, I'm sympathetic to the members. They are old, and what if they slip? Chairman Mao said that if you want revolution, there will be people sacrificing. I don't want to go to the funeral parlor. Now, if members rush to conference rooms to vote, and if they fall and have a serious accidents, that would be a shame. Now, the technology is so advanced. Can we do voting by remote control? Do we have such a technology? No matter what members are doing, even if they are in the washroom, they can press a button. Mr. Chen Hanpan, you are young. You don't know the pain of the elderly. It may take them more than 5 minutes to urinate. Well, this is a physical problem. Young person, you don't understand. Well, you are telling us that you take care of the elderly in your district? Look at those people sitting behind you. 5 of them. If you add their ages together, it's over 300 years. Isn't this council for members to say meaningless things? The government comes to us to apply for funding. The officials are also saying meaningless things. Mr. Cheng Yuk-sing also said that there are a lot of scraps spoken here. Mr. Yip Kwok Him. Mr. Chen Chi-chen, we are debating we're debating whether the 5 minutes should be reduced to 1 minute. This is not just a question of position. Well, some people think that if we support the bell ringing time to remain at 5 minutes is filibustering. Well, that has always been the thinking. However, yesterday it was different. Yesterday, when we voted on the Yaomate Stage 2 development and the relocation of the street sleepers dormitory, Fernando Chung moved 3 motions. Lee Chuk-yen asked the 5 minutes to be reduced to 1 minute. The pro-establishment camp wanted it to remain at 5 minutes, so they were waiting for someone. At 9-something yesterday, when we were discussing the standard working hours policy division, I thought Yip Kwok Him would want the time to remain at 5 minutes, but he didn't do that. I wanted it to be 5 minutes. I originally thought that Mr. Yip Kwok Him would ask it to be reduced to 1 minute, but he didn't do that. I think I want to wait for FTU members to come back. At 9-something yesterday, Chen Yunhan, Tung were not here. They said that they would object to it, so I was waiting for them. However, Yip Kwok Him didn't do it yesterday for the 4 motions. Today we have 5 motions, and he wants to shorten the 5 minutes to 1 minute. Well, sometimes you think to us, you are smart, but actually it's even more time consuming. Keiko Kwok and Claudia Mo and even I will speak, and Yip Kwok Him may have to explain to FC audience why FTU members are absent, but he may not speak because he just doesn't know how to explain. So if we follow the original time, then nothing would happen. But I don't think they have enough time to rush back. So let's not shorten the time. It's not such a big difference. If we all agree, it's okay. However, if we do not agree, then we will choose to speak, and it's another waste of time. Dr. Kwokaki. Chairman, I heard Ray Chan's comments. I think he's really reasonable. 1 minute to 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes back to 1 minute. It depends on whether the pro-establishment camp is waiting for Uncle Fat or someone else. If they have enough votes, then it's 5 minutes. If they want to rush, then it's 1 minute. The pro-establishment camp is the majority in NACHCO. However, sometimes they press the wrong button. They may not have enough time to put on their reading class, and they may be in the washroom. Well, from a urinological point of view, I'm actually very worried about the health of them.
Young people like Chen Han-pan can complete the procedure within a minute, but those sitting behind him may take 3-4 minutes in the toilet. So it's not so good, right? They will suffer from inflammation if you don't allow them to complete the process. And the Urological Society of the UK said recently that if men zip up too hastily, they may end up in a hospital because they hurt themselves. It never happened here, but in international medical magazines, such features were carried, and Mr. Longhair was trying to be caring. And I am a doctor. We don't treat the loyalists as enemies. We actually care about their urological health, and we want to prevent them from getting hurt. And also very often they don't hear us out. They just press buttons. As a matter of fact, I'm not moving many motions under 37A today, and all of them have to do with people's livelihood. As Mr. Wong Kok Heng and his ilk, he said he would have to support Tung Chung residents. Then please open wide your eyes and read my 37A. because they just excel in opposing motions. Be careful. Your residents may chase you up because you put them in dire situations. You don't speak up when we say we want to repurchase the MTRCL. And also Link, it is doing such a big disservice to people in Yet Tung estate. So residents, open your eyes wide. Look at how FTU has abandoned electors. Ms. Claudia Mo, 3 minutes. Personally, it's okay for me whether it's 1 minute or 5 minutes, because the 4 minutes don't make a big difference to me, especially if you know the issue well, and if you're already here, 1 minute really saves time. But if you don't know the issue well, you may be taking a call upstairs or doing some other business upstairs. Well, that lift is very slow, and many people would use the lift at the same time, so 1 minute may not be enough. I'm also worried that if you don't know the issue well and you just rush down from upstairs, that is, if you are within this building. Mr. Chairman, when we voted on the adjournment motion, I really would like to express strong opposition to what you said. You acted like a judge. You said if it is an adjournment, then we don't know when this will come back. You should not try to lead the jury as if you were a judge. You are the chairman and you should remain neutral. You should not issue reminders. I don't know why you find the need to remind members of anything, and I would interpret that since you are reminding members how to vote and the consequences of voting, you take this as a court. And if that's the case, I would say 1 minute is very inappropriate. There is another consideration. Last night, I saw this clip from the Labour Party, and it reprimands the FTU for not delivering its promises. With regard to the adding of manpower to tackle standard working hours, Ms. Chen Yunhan said in exact terms that she would object because it's very probable that there will not be legislation for standard working hours, and so no more hands should be added. Ms. Chen was correct in saying that, but then when a vote was taken, all the FTU members were absent, and it was criticized by the Labour Party. I think this is unfortunate. I don't know whether the vote was taken after 1 minute or 5 minutes, but had there been more time, the members of FTU would have been able to come back to vote. I think by having more time, there would be more flexibility. There is a meaning to it. The Labour Party heavily criticized the FTU. I hope the FTU can explain themselves if there is a chance. Ms. Alice Mack, Chairman. Whether it's for filibustering or for other purposes, whether it's a minute or 5 minutes, you don't always have to relate your arguments to the age of people, especially if you're a doctor. You sound professional, and you say 5 minutes would be better for the health of the aged. We're having a meeting here. People who watch us on TV are smart. I think this is very unbecoming of members. You say if you change it to 1 minute, is not enough time for you to go to the toilet. It's really quite unparliamentary. There are aged people watching television, so are you talking about them? You should furnish better reasons. Don't always mention the toilet in order to decide whether we should have 1 minute or 5 minutes to go to the toilet. But I'd like to thank Mr. Ray Chan for explaining and saying on our behalf why we did not vote yesterday. Because we did not have time to come back. And also on Friday, well, some members said just now, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Miss Claudia Mo just did not know what was happening. She did not even know what position we were talking about. It was about a position to be created in the Labour Department. If there had not been people filibustering on Friday, we should have been able to oppose the motion. But there was a filibuster on Friday. And in the end, somebody was asking for adjourning the meeting. And in the end, we could not vote in opposition. And yesterday, because there were other meetings, we could not make it back. Now, of course, this is a big era and the election is looming. And of course, I will not be surprised if people explore opportunities to attack us. So I don't have a lot of feeling about that clip uploaded by the Labour Party. So I thank Mr. Ray Chan for saying or mentioning this, and because of the addition of meetings and filibuster, we could not make it for the vote. And I know you are creating this for the sake of election forums so that they will not be too boring. But talking about loss of memory, sometimes it doesn't have to do with your age. Just now, some of our aged members were criticized for loss of memory. But actually, 4 years ago, Dr. K.K. Kwok already reminded you that the FTU never supported the link of that time. But if you want to attack us for the sake of attacking and disregard the facts, then I have nothing to say. Mr. Wang Ting Kwong, 3 minutes. Dr. K.K. Kwok, please do not laugh at patients using your professional knowledge. What are you doing? You're a doctor. You should not laugh on the symptoms of patients. All the people in Hong Kong are watching you. What is your professional ethic? Number 2, Ms. Mo, please do not cheat Hong Kong people. We supported 5 minutes and then we wanted to change it to 1 minute. Those who would like to vote should have been here in the room. You were misleading the public with distorted arguments. You would be defaced and you will have vascular diseases before I do, so you don't have to worry about me. Members of the public, please watch us. Mr. Kwok K and his ilk, he is a doctor, but he has no professional ethics. How can he face the people of Hong Kong? Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Mr. Lee Chia-yan, 3 minutes. Chairman, Miss Alice Mack said they could not make it back yesterday. So we should support 5 minutes now, so everybody can come back. On Friday, there was no vote, and then there was Saturday morning, and then Monday morning. Well, you have 6 members in the FTU, and is it too coincidental for all of you to be absent? Is it that all of you could not make it back? And even now, some of you cannot make it back. You only have 2 members in the room. Why don't you support 5 minutes so the other 4 can come back? You are not delivering your political promises. Don't make it out as if you did not have the time to come back. If you really care about standard working hours, where I assume you care about standard working hours, and yet they are creating a post without making any promise for legislation. We have always opposed it all along. You have opposed it alongside us, but why is it that you did not deliver when there was a vote? That is a fact. You said it was coincidental that the 6 of you were not there, but let's see whether anyone trusts you. It's up to you to explain. But if that's the case, why don't we support 5 minutes so everybody can come back? Or else, again, you can't make it. Because it seems you are saying it's very difficult for you to gather your crowd, but let us now give you the time to do it. That is why if the loyalists want your whole team back, then you should support 5 minutes. And in fact, for us, we don't really have to support 5 minutes because it's you who lack your members. If you want to support the administration, you have to have your whole team. And if that's the case, you should go for 5 minutes. Because we all know that if you are here, then you don't need 5 minutes. But there are members who are in their offices within this building, and it would definitely take them more than a minute to come back here from upstairs. You have to spend 1 minute just waiting for the lift. So, as we follow this argument, I think all of us should support 5 minutes. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin? I can't follow the logic of Mr. Lee Cheuk Yan. We have this 1 minute provision in our procedures because we would have had 5 minutes to come back for the first vote, so we are already here. But some other members would like to filibuster and waste time, so they insist on 5 minutes. It's okay for you to state your stance. What I find strange is that the Labour Party always targets the FTU. It doesn't target the employers or the administration. You can see that Mr. Lee Cheuk Yan always criticizes the FTU, not the employers, bosses, or the administration. But that's easy to understand, isn't it? Just now, Miss Alice Mack says that this is election time and that is why they're doing this. But this doesn't happen only near elections. Some people don't help employees normally, but they want to put up a show in front of people, so they try to highlight themselves by criticizing and attacking another organization. This is the cheapest way to do it. They don't do their work, but other people are working all the time, and then they can just attack what other people do. And it seems by criticizing others, they have done their job. This is their style all the time. I don't find that strange at all. As for the creation of the post, I'd like to ask Mr. Lee Cheuk Yan, is it that having this post we will not have standard hours? Is it that without this post we'll immediately have standard working hours? Is it as simple as that? Well, this is just an expression of stance in order to express our unhappiness with the small step taken by the administration in legislating for standard working hours. We'd like to vote against it to register our stance. Whether this can help us establish standard working hours has nothing to do with the post. I don't think you should use this lame argument to attack us. In fact, many people don't know what you are criticizing. But, well, this is election time. The Labour Party or Lee Cheuk Yan will definitely target the FTU and attack us politically so that you can gain some political currency. That is just normal for them, I mean. But the workers in Hong Kong should be discerning whether the Labour Party attacks other people or they really do their work. Fernando Chung. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin was not here in the meetings last week, so he doesn't know at all that we just directed our criticism only at the administration. We had 37A and we used it to point out that it was a regressive step in the platform of C.Y. Leung. He said we should start working for legislation. But after 3 years, we gave them a supernumerary post. And now they're asking to extend it for 5 years. And yet, one of the work directions is not to legislate for standard working hours. If you think you need not reprimand the administration, you still support it, Are you not cheating all the employees in Hong Kong? We reprimanded the administration. Your Chen Yun-han said, she came back, she said, the FTU would object to the extension of the post. But today, you make it sound as if you found it okay to support it. Have you changed your stance? But then she disappeared after saying her piece. And then when it was time for voting, none of you appeared. That is why we would have wanted to wait for you so as to see whether you have kept to your stance. There are objective records on this. If you did not mention it, I would not be speaking at length. But you actually accused us of targeting you. But please, why would you target? Why would we target you? We target the administration. We target the unfair and unjust system. We target the political system because it doesn't reflect the needs of the grassroots. We are here to represent the average member of the public, to question the administration and also to seek some justice for society. Why would you do the opposite? I hope the FTU will practice what it preaches. Please stick to your words. If you said you would object to the extension of the post, then please, you should vote against it. You should be consistent. Frankly, Ms. Alice Mack said she could not make it back for the meeting on Monday. I don't know what she meant. The meeting started at 8:45. Maybe it was 15 minutes earlier than usual. But frankly, some of our meetings start at 8:30. Sorry, your time is up, Mr. Gary Fan. I speak in opposition to shortening the bell from 5 minutes to 1 minute. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin said just now the FTU was targeted. I think members here reason and state facts. Why is it FTU is criticized and targeted? Well, you should not just overreact, saying people have an evil intention. But FTU, you are a trade union, and your platform states that you fight for the benefits for workers. And on this major issue of standard working hours, you should stick to your position. Why is it that last week in the Finance Committee you were absent? You said before that you would stand firm in your opposition stance, and it was actually said by your most senior member, Ms. Chen Yun-han. The public would remember it, and then they now know that you disappeared when the vote was taken. Why would you be targeted? Because you waved the flag to say you fight for the benefits of workers, and now you cheat people. You say this is election time. Of course we care about election time because we are checked and balanced by the votes of the public, and the public would give us mandate on the basis of our work in the past 4 years and whether we delivered the values we trusted in and whether we delivered our promises. Your motto is to fight for the benefits of workers, and yet you disappeared when the vote was taken, and now when we carry on the discussion, you are criticizing others.
係講話為工人爭取權益。
The Labour Party and FTU both fight for the interests of workers. So why were you absent during the vote? And now you are supporting the item again. Earlier, Mr. Wong Kwok Heng and Mr. Kwok Wai Keung and took some very cheesy photos together to fight for paternity leave. But why did you choose not to vote? Again, you are being inconsistent. So we all see that, and you were busted, so that's why you are not happy. So please be honest and fulfill your promises and your platforms, and you should show that by your votes. We should be held accountable by making criticisms. We just want to reveal the facts, and the government must implement standard working hours. Time's up. I will put the item to the vote. And according to Rule 47 of the procedure, the bell would be changed from 5 minutes to 1.
各位，我哋一陣間要表決呢個呢，就係
Members, We are voting on the motion to change the duration of the division bell from 5 minutes to 1.
Voting
begins. Voting is closed. The results are displayed. 25 for 12 against 0 abstention. The motion is passed. I will now deal with the remaining motions under Rule 37A. Any division claimed? 1 minute. According to Rule 37A of the FC procedure, I move that before the construction of an additional sewage rising main between Tung and Siu Wan, the government must promise that the relevant works would not affect the traffic at Chung Road. Voting begins. Voting is closed. The results are displayed. You couldn't press the bell. All right, I will. So you are voting against it. I will take it on record. 12 for, 22 against your abstention. The motion is negative. Next, please, Dr. Kwok. Please switch on the microphone for him. A member said he or she could not vote, and you said you would include it in the record. I encountered the same situation yesterday, but when I checked the records, it wasn't updated. And only a remark was made on my voting preference. So if this is the case, you should update the voting record. From the Secretariat. Mr. Fan, the chairman had announced the result yesterday. I put my hand up immediately before the result was announced. I think you can check the records. If you have doubts, you can refer to the records. Dr. Kwok, please continue. Based on Rule 37A of the FC procedure, I move that before the construction of an additional sewage rising main between Tung and Siu Wan, the government must advise the anticipated sewage flow for Tung New Town extension projects. Voting begins. Voting is closed. The results are displayed. 12 for, 25 against your abstention. The motion is negative. Dr. Kwok, please move on to the next motion. According to Rule 37A of the FC procedure, I move that before the construction of a sewage rising main between Tung and Siu Wan, the government must advise the projected sewage handling capacity in preparation of the airport third runway. Voting begins. Voting's closed. The results are displayed. 12 for, 25 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negative. The final motion under 37A. According to Rule 37A of the FC procedure, I move that before the construction of a sewage rising main between Tung and Siho Wan, the government must tackle the high levels of hydrogen sulfide in the airport sewage. Voting begins. Voting is closed. The results are displayed. 11 for, 25 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negative. I now put the item to the vote. The bell will be rung for 1 minute. Voting begins. Voting is closed. The results are displayed. 34 for, 2 against, 0 abstention. The item is passed. Next, FCR 2016-17-64. This item invites members to pass the recommendations discussed at the PWSC meeting on the 11th of June. In other words, the recommendations in PWSC number 31 to upgrade 118 KA to Category A in the renovation works for the west wing of the former CGO for office use by the Department of Justice and law-related organizations at an estimated cost of $1.0789 billion in the money of day prices. We have Mr. Ellen Seal, Director of Administration and Development from the DOJ, Dr. K. Kwok. Chairman, I'm very concerned about this project as well. As you know, it took a lot of efforts to secure the west wing of the former central government offices. It was bound to be demolished, to be converted into commercial building or shopping mall. So at the end, the West Wing was retained, and together with the East Block, it became part of our historical heritage. And the West Wing, including the Central and East Blocks, were dubbed the Government Hill, and the security was not that tight before. Before the handover, the public could enter freely, and during the weekends, it was opened to provide cheap parking for the public. Now today, the central government offices have become a prison. So the security has been very tight since the Tung reign. So we cannot repeat the same mistake at the PWSC. I've said clearly that the DOJ or director should not answer questions about conservation. If this funding application is approved, we should return this monument or historical site to the public. We should not just conserve the lifts or elevator, and near the tree there should be a place to rest for the public, and there should be a shelter. In the former CGO West Wing, there was a cheap restaurant. So not just civil servants, the public could also buy affordable meals. So these are important. If this monument is not accessible, and if there's only concrete and display panels, what's the point of visiting? The public had no reason to stay. So we should not just spend hundreds of millions of dollars on revitalization. More importantly, we should revitalize the building for public use. So there should be open space, there should be activities, and you should sell snacks and drinks as well. Nowadays, civil servants are forced to eat at expensive restaurants in Central, so you should do something for the civil servants and the public.
Secondly, in the past, during weekends, the public was allowed to park their cars there. It became a temporary public car park. It's very important. If you want to bring your children there, and some families may even bring their babies, then it would be more convenient. You know that for the Chung Center's car park is very expensive, and Murray Building is being renovated, so there's no parking space there. So can the government promise to do this so that the revitalized heritage can be used by the general public, not just by senior government officials? Director of Administration and Development, DFJ. Now for the former CGO, the West Wing and the Central Block will be developed into a public open space. It will be open 24 hours. As for the public space, there will be facilities for the people. As for canteen, well, now normally in government buildings we do not provide canteens. So after the renovation works, there will be no canteen there. However, at the PWSC meeting, we've heard members' views. We've asked the Development Bureau and the LCSD to look actively into this. That is for the public space. Maybe refreshments kiosks can be set up so that it can convenience the users. Now, because the parking facilities will be used for public space, so there will be no parking there. Please press your button, okay, Mr. Alvin Young. 5 minutes. I have 2 questions for the government. First, paragraph 13. You say that management and security will be separated. So will there be 2 teams? One is for security and the other for management? Director, as for the West Wing, it will be used by the Department of Justice and law-related organizations. They will be on different floors. So when it comes to management, there will be different managements. As for DOJ, of course, we have our own management team. And for law-related organizations, LROs, they will manage their own floors. The director said that they will manage their own floors. So you will have to hire people, for example, janitors and other people for office management, right? So who will be paying? Is it public money? For public facilities and services, they will be provided from the central authorities. We will charge the LROs accordingly. We support that the DOJ be giving such huge space to LROs. We understand that DOJ has a very heavy workload and they may have to hire more personnel in the future. So for these floor areas which are rented out to LROs now, in the future, will the DOJ reclaim them? Well, to implement the scheme, well, at the moment we do not have any plan for enlarging the establishment of the DOJ. As for LROs, we understand that they will have to make investment. For example, they will have to renovate their office, so we will not end their lease lightly. I want to make myself clearer. This is what I am worried about, because for the LROs, they would have to invest in renovation. However, DOJ may hire more persons in the future. Does DOJ have enough floor space for long-term use in the future? That is, it will not be asking the LROs to return their floor space to the DOJ. Now, after renovating the West Wing, we will have enough for floor space for use. If we need more space in the future, we will talk to the GPA and we will try to find space in other government offices. According to the director, now this floor space will be rented to the LROs. This will be a long-term policy, right? We hope that we can develop a legal hub so as to promote Hong Kong's arbitration service and law-related services. This is a long-term policy. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but Director, you are saying that if in the future DOJ does not have enough space, you will talk to the GPA. You will not be asking the LROs to return their offices to you, right? Is that your promise? Our long-term policy is to promote the legal hub. So we will not ask the LROs to return their space to us lightly. If we need extra space, we will work in accordance with the normal procedures. Next, Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Chairman, I would like to seek clarification. For the former CGO, after the handover, is fenced up. So will you remove the fence so that the former CGO will look like what it was like before the handover, because it was more friendly. Members of the public could go into the premises more easily. And secondly, you are talking about this legal hub. Will there be a law library? So when members of the public visit the place, they can also find law-related books. And for the central block, there was a canteen and the kitchen. You are seeing that after renovation, there will not be a canteen. But for the whole government hill, the canteen is a very convenient facility for both the people working there and for visitors. So other than policy consideration, are there other restrictions if you want to retain the canteen? Well, for the fences, there are iron fences and a gate. When the complex was completed in 1959, there were fences, because for Lower Albert Road and the former CGO, they are at different height. So that's why we need to build a gate. We need to build a fence. However, we are going to lower the height of the fence. We will return it to the height in 1959. For the central block and the west wing, in between them there is a space and there's a gate there. We will change it to drop arm barrier for traffic control. As for other gates, we will remove them. As for library, we are going to develop a legal hub. We want to promote Hong Kong as a dispute resolution center. So we will be providing services in terms of policies. There will not be a library. In the former CGO, there was a canteen. The audit has conducted an audit earlier on, and they said that in government buildings, canteens should not be built because it's not efficient and the utilization rate is not high. The PAC of the LegCo also had a similar discussion. They asked the government to conduct a review. After the review, we have decided that under normal circumstances, government buildings will not be provided with canteens. Even though you have a canteen there, you can contract it out. You don't have to build refreshment kiosks. You said that you will be asking the LCSD to think about setting up refreshment kiosks there. Then why don't you use the original canteen? You can contract it out, and then you can provide catering service. In government buildings, according to the present government policy, will not provide canteens. But the member asked about public space that is outside the buildings. We hope that we can set up refreshment kiosks. We have asked the Development Bureau and the LCSD to look into this. Mr. Dennis Kwok. At the AJLS panel, we have discussed this already, but now I want to talk about it again because for the last time, the government's replies were not satisfactory. Well, for the legal, well, you will be reserving space for the LROs. For the former Court of Final Appeal building, it will be turned into an international arbitration center. So all these buildings will become arbitration centers. Our policy is that we hope to promote Hong Kong as a dispute resolution center. So part of the West Wing and the former Court of Final Appeal building will be used by related law organizations. I'm very concerned about the facilities, whether they will be of world class. As for our neighboring countries, they are also developing similar centers. For example, Singapore, they put a lot of resources into doing this. So for the former CFA building and the former CGO, I hope that your facilities will be up to world standard. At PWSC, you told me that this funding is just for basic renovation works. Later on, you will be coming for funding again so that you can upgrade the facilities to world class. Is that what you're going to do? Now, we are going to develop a legal hub. So for the LROs, when they move in, the office levels will, the office quality will not be lower than that of their present office. We want to keep Hong Kong's competitiveness. However, for each LRO, it may have different needs. So we are providing basic renovation works. And then we will discuss with different LROs and ask what they exactly want for their offices. So for the next term of LegCo, we may expect to see it. Now, for example, if you've already selected certain LROs to move into the former CFA building, then you will start talking to them. That is what kind of facilities they will need, right? And then you will come back for further funding, right? We will talk to the future LROs that are taking up offices in these premises, and then we will find out their needs. Now, if the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center is to be relocated there, you want to make sure that the facilities at the former CGO will not be worse off than the facilities at present at the Exchange Square, right? Yes, we want to promote Hong Kong's services in this regard. So, of course, when the LROs move into the legal hub, we won't want the services and facilities to be provided to them to be poor. Yes, because we do not want to be a second or third class arbitration center. Otherwise, that will harm Hong Kong's status as an international dispute resolution center. So you cannot save money. You really have to cater for their needs. Now, the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center is already #1. So we do not want to go backwards. We hope that this can be a successful example so that Hong Kong's status can be further enhanced. This is what I'm most concerned about. Director, yes, we understand the members' concern. That is also our goal. Next, Dr. Fernando Chung. Thank you, Chairman. We support this project. We also hope that the former CGO can be renovated as soon as possible so that it can give play to its functions, because this is a Grade 1 historic building. Other than preserving it, we do not want to waste the buildings. The buildings have been left vacant for years, and it will still take some years for them to be renovated. So I hope that this can be done as soon as possible. My major concern is about several things. First, accessibility. Whether people with disabilities can have easy access to all the areas in the former CGO. In the past, there were fences and gates. After the handover, the first thing Tung did was to build fences and gates. So will you demolish the gates? Because I think that's totally unnecessary. Dr. Fernando Chung, just now Wu Chi-wei asked the same question. I don't know what that drop arm gate is. When is it the location that we're talking about? Is it on Battery Path? I'm also very concerned about public space. This project doesn't involve changes in public space. Just now, the director said that he's talking to the Development Bureau and the LCSD. And you told us that for government buildings now, canteens will not be provided. I'm not thinking about the ordinary canteens. I'm thinking about a canteen run by a social enterprise. Well, in our new CGO, we have a restaurant and it's run by a social enterprise. This is very important. Many social enterprises would like to run restaurants in government buildings. It's not like business in the private sector, because this will bring about social good. And for DOJ, there are many employees, and also many members of the public will visit the public space here. So why can't you spare some areas for social enterprises? In Wan Chai, that's a URA project that is next to the Wedding Cut Street. The restaurant there is going to be forced to close down. Earlier on, it was operating at YWCA, but then it was kicked out, and they moved to Wan Chai, and now they are being kicked out again. This is a pity. Why can't you give the social enterprises some room for development? If you charge them a nominal rent, then they can hire people with disabilities or members of vulnerable groups to work. So I hope that you can give them a space to set up a restaurant, or even for them to sell things. So for the public space, you mentioned that there may be refreshment kiosk in the future. I hope that this can also be operated by social enterprises, so that working opportunities can be created for persons with disabilities. First, about public space and accessibility. At West Wing, we will build an elevator so that people can move from Queen's Road Central to the former CGO to the 7th floor, including people with disabilities.
Also, there will be other accesses which are barrier-free within the West Wing to convenience the disabled. As for the iron gates, I said that where there is a vehicle access, there will be drop-arm bars, and the other gates will be demolished. As for public space, we have heard you talk about providing refreshments in the form of a kiosk or canteen. We will talk to the LCSD. I'd like you to allow social enterprises to operate a canteen. I already explained the policy of providing a canteen within the complex. We are proposing that the DOJ and law-related organizations can use the West Wing, and the entire floor space will have been used up. Claudia Mo, 5 minutes. Thank you, Chairman. We used to park at the entrance of the CGO. Many people would go to the Foreign Correspondents Club on Wyndham Street, and they would park at the CGO, or so-called Government Hill. After 8 p.m., the parking spaces would be free for use by the public. There was such a good feeling because people could go there and just park, but of course the situation changed. Personally, I still remember the ambience and the courtyard there. Now I would like you to do as much conservation as possible, but now everything seems locked up and it gives people a very negative feeling. My question is on the management mode. You said the DOJ would manage its own premises, including security, and the law-related organizations will have their own management system. If I have understood you correctly, that is. And obviously, there will be another kind of management for public space because it will be done by the LCSD or the LVHD. I'm puzzled because there will be different management teams. If there is suddenly a big march or protest in the open space there, and the protesters are going after the DOJ, who will be doing the management? Would toll gates again be installed like the civic square next to this building? Originally, it was supposed to be open space and people for or against the administration could go there. My first question, therefore, is about management. Secondly, I hope I have not heard you wrong. You said it is a government policy that there will not be the provision of a canteen in government offices. Why do you say so? Is it that eating is something to be avoided? What is your consideration? Is it hygiene or security? Because food and raw materials have to be taken to the government offices. So is it because of security? And just now you seem to be saying it's because of a lack of space, because all space is used up. But you said that it's a policy not to provide a canteen in government buildings. I find this very mind-boggling. Why don't you want to provide canteen services for civil servants who work there? We're not talking about luxurious dining halls. I'm really talking about canteen services. You work there and you can order food from the canteen up your office. And so what kind of policy is that? Director, first the question of a canteen. Usually, government offices are now built in very convenient places with transport provision, and it's easy for people to get food. And that is why after considering the views of LegCo and the Director of Audit, and after we have done our own review, we have set a policy that in normal government buildings, we are not going to provide canteen services. Because if you want to order takeaway food, you can also do so with the eateries around the building. As for the government building open space, it's clear that it will be managed by the LCSD. And as I said, if they are not needed, the gates would be demolished. Sorry, what do you mean by if they are not needed? Who makes the decision? Chairman, as I said, if there is a vehicular access, there will be a drop arm bar. So are you actually stating the opposite? In other words, apart from vehicular accesses, all the gates and railings would be pulled down. I said the gates would be pulled down. And I explained just now that at certain places, because of security considerations, some of the iron bars would remain, but they will be reduced in height. Leung Kwok-hong, is it my turn? Yes. All buildings have their own history, and their history may or may not be related with their future use. I don't know why the administration center of a government has been turned into an arbitration center. It is politically incorrect. The administration exercises public power. It also exercises administrative power. I think this is a way to stand up against CY Leung so we can preserve the government hill so that developers cannot look to develop the site. And that is why you are turning it into an arbitration center. Many rich people say they can set up a BVI company not for the sake of evasion of tax, but they think the common law system will afford better protection when there is contract signing or arbitration. And I like to ask this question. The executive in Hong Kong cannot even take care of its citizens. Do you think other people would like to come to Hong Kong for arbitration? Let me be very frank with you, Li Po. It has attracted the attention of all people in Hong Kong. Our executive has no way whatsoever to show the international community what it can do within its jurisdiction. You can be cosmetic about the entire thing, but it doesn't help. Now, the government headquarters of the past, the seat of government in the past, has been turned into an arbitration center. I think it's just not right. You should not cite the arbitration center. Here is part of the legal system. Sorry, Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. There is only 1 minute to the end of the meeting. I'd like to add 15 minutes so we can complete this item. Okay, fine. Of course you can do so. I will use up those 15 minutes. I think your policy follows CH Tung's mentality. The open space of a government building should be opened for public use. But your policy is that within the building there will be no canteen. Look at this legislative council. We have a big dining hall, but its utilization rate is so low. Look at the canteen on the ground floor. Go there after this meeting. Lucky if you can find a seat at this hour. The dining hall is not used at all, but the people who work there don't even have a canteen for meals. What kind of a policy is that? Don't you know food is our basic need? That is for survival. You don't even provide a canteen, then why provide toilets? Why toilets? Toilets is a follow-up to meals. Even if they can become dirty. CH Tung modeled after Singapore, and it wreaked havoc for us. He used tens of billions of dollars to drive out animal husbandry. So our city is clean. Chairman, have you added 15 minutes? Yes, I have. Okay, thank you. I'll speak again. Mr. To, 5 minutes. Chairman. Oh, come on, please. Just don't add 15 minutes. Suddenly, all the loyalists have gone, and if we would like to move a motion under 37A, you're bound to lose. Anyways, I have some questions to ask. Para 8, D. It talks about the original canteen on the 7th floor. We are all very concerned about this because it will become an open space. My short question is, it says subject to further study, the corridor will provide space for display of items with heritage value for public interpretation. I don't understand this. Why do you want to display items with heritage value for public interpretation instead of public appreciation? Why do you want the public to interpret them? Director. Is it that you can add 15 minutes to every session, or do you only have the power for the last session? I have this complaint case session with the government at 1 p.m. If you add 15 minutes, I will not call that meeting. Yes, I have the power to do so for every session. I'm the convener. Can the clerk please tell the complaint division that I need to be late for 15 minutes? Or if you think, members, if you think you can't complete the meeting within 15 minutes, let us adjourn now. We'll start again at 2:30.